Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles Long, and with me, as always, is my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles. How are you?
I am all right. If you couldn't tell, I have a bit of a raspy throat. We were supposed to record this episode 2 days ago, but my voice was so absolutely unusable that it wouldn't have been a good record. It would have just been Jake bullying me for 45 minutes about voice cracks and sounding like an idiot. Yeah, and you bully me enough already in our real lives. You just send me mean pictures. You send me pictures of myself, but you photoshopped like a pig nose on my face or something like that. It's not very nice of you. I wish you would stop sending them to my mother as well. It's
I mean,
not
she
very
thinks
nice.
it's funny, so.
You know what? You're right. You know what? Stop. Forget I said anything. I have a TV show to pitch you. Now, last week I picked a title, and it is quite possibly the most difficult title that we have given each other thus far in this little experiment that we've been doing, where we're giving each other titles to make a show for.
I don't know. First and last place was pretty hard, so I did change the title. But.
First and last place. Yeah. Well, what was the title you gave me last week, Jacob?
The Transatlantic Sleep Marine.
All right, the Transatlantic Sleep Marine. Now, I dropped the, so it's just Transatlantic Sleep Marine. I hope that's okay.
I'll allow it. It's okay.
And I was thinking for a while about what to do this show on, and I settled on this. Subcon 78, the world's first fully functioning subconscious exploratory vessel. It is a ship that exists in real space, as well as being able to traverse the dream web, the planet's collective subconscious. After decades of failed experiments, Dr. Carl Hall was able to build the ship. While the real space vessel is powered by a nuclear engine, the Dreamweb engine is powered by 12 soldiers that have been placed into a medically induced coma. Their uninterrupted REM sleep powering the ship. Alright? So that's our premise, basically. We have a submarine that can dive basically into the planet's subconscious and see dreams, you know? And this show is going to be very much playing with different styles of animation and live action melding together, and is kind of going to be a more episodic VRP classic, because it's, you know, it's an idea that lends itself to that. So each episode is going to be the crew of the Subcon 78 discovering a problem that is existing within the Dreamweb and attempting to solve that problem in some manner of speech. All right? Now, I'm going to give you some characters. These are going to be our main characters. So buckle up, buddy. Dr. Carl Hall, a strange and enigmatic man who often speaks in code and in foreshadowing, almost as if he exists outside of the linear time that all of us regular humans live in. He seems to be a man who has spent much of his life exploring the dream web and discovering the secrets of the human subconscious. And he's gonna be kind of like the mad scientist of the crew. He knows how everything works, but he's not really able to focus his energies as well as other characters in the show. All right, Carl Hall. Then our second main character and kind of the audience POV character is First Latrine Cleaner Mitchell, a young man with very little world experience who becomes an assistant to Dr. Hall after he notices his potential for being a dream web explorer. He is empathetic and thoughtful, but sometimes allows his feelings to overtake his logical mind and thought. So sometimes he'll get the crew into a situation because he is so, he feels so much. And if he sees someone in pain or hurt, he wants to help them, no matter the consequences. And sometimes that'll be a boon, and sometimes that'll be what's the opposite of a boon?
A detriment. I don't know. Detriment?
A hurdle. Detriment. Yeah.
Okay.
A hurdle. Yeah. Our second to last character is Captain Melville Voss, a hard man who uses his position of power to divorce himself from the rest of the crew. But in the dream web, nobody cares about rank. So Melville Voss is kind of a Captain Ahab style character. He's very determined and very set in his ways. But in the dream web, your greatest nightmares become your greatest fantasies, and your greatest fantasies burst out of your chest and rip your face off, right? Like, the dream web does not exist in normal space or time. So his rank as captain of this submarine becomes almost moot in the strange, weird space of the dream web. And our last character that I've written down is First Mate Karen Jones, a studious and excited officer who tries to cover her bubbly personality with a stern visage that falls away in moments of stress. And so she's very friendly and she's outgoing, but being the first officer of this ship, this top secret government ship, she is trying to cover up that part of herself by being maybe more rude or brash or mean than she really needs to be. But when, shit hits the fan, she becomes very much a more bubbly person. Like, she cares about people more than she really lets on, right? That's Karen Jones's character. And one of the things, and I think the most striking thing about this show, is going to be how it looks. So I want, whenever the ship Subcon 78 is above the dream web, right, and when it's in real space, I want it to be fully live action. Everyone's just a person, normal ass people dressed in normal ass military clothes, right? But when they dive down into the dream web, right, they all sort of become a different animated style, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe Dr. Carl Hall is like a rotoscoped kind of a guy, sort of like a Scanner Darkly. Captain Melville Voss is more of like a 1930s Steamboat Willie style cartoon, whereas latrine cleaner, what's his name again? Latrine cleaner Mitchell will become more of like a late 90s, early 2000s 3D animated character. You know what I mean? Like the Little Red Riding Hood movies, or you get what I mean. And Karen Jones will become like a more Disney-esque princess-style animated 2D character, Yeah. Everybody's got their own styles, and the 12 unconscious soldiers that are powering the Dreamweb engine will fluctuate wildly throughout animation styles and being live action and like all this stuff. And sometimes they'll just be like 404 error, file not found, right? Like it'll be just static where they are. And Carl Hall will be like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Now, I have a handful of episodes that I have written out as ideas, and then after I've gone through these 3 episodes, I would love for you to suggest your own. So just listen up, and you'll kind of pick up the formula of how these episodes are going to work, right? Okay. So, episode 1, the crew what's that say? Oh. The crew begins to dive into the dream web, and after passing through a sea of self-loathing populated by sea lions, and that's C-S-E-E, so they're lions and they've got tons of eyes, and they're just swimming around in the ocean, and wazzle-footed owls, and that's just owls with like kayak paddles for feet. they pierce through a second layer and discover an anxiety storm originating from Wall Street. They find the source of the storm being the invisible hand of the market, hereby represented by a gigantic hand that is stirring this enormous cauldron that causes this anxiety storm to begin. And the crew will discover that the invisible hand is stirring this anxiety storm because all of the investment bankers who are powering this storm are worried about the next day's trading because some of them think that there's going to be a bust and some think that it's going to be, whatever, I don't know any economics terms, but there's going to be like a big upset tomorrow. And so this anxiety storm is nearly tearing the ship apart. The rest of the crew's trying to hold the ship together with like duct tape and spit and dreams and, dreams. But they are able to suspend this anxiety storm and stop it from really truly destroying them by using cafeteros. Because what's the opposite of sleeps and dreams? That's right, caffeine. And so Dr. Carl Hall built these torpedoes that basically have liquid caffeine that they shoot at all of the enemies of the ship, and it destroys them by effectively waking them up. And then we'll see on Wall Street there is no bust because all of the investment bankers that were powering this anxiety storm are like bleary-eyed and foggy, in their minds because they didn't get any REM sleep. The REM sleep was, of course, interrupted by the Subcon 78. And that means that there's no bust, but also most of the major companies in the United States do lose some money. And, that's not Subcon 78's issue, so they see this as a massive success, even though they've effectively kickstarted a economic downturn in the U.S. But that's not, who cares? It's whatever. Episode 2 that I have written down. I'm firing through these. I got ideas and I got no ideas. The crew discovers a dream web tear and find that a French artist is managing to siphon off the dream energy and into his own inspiration well in order to inspire his paintings, right? And it's like, ooh, this is bad because this guy has managed to find a way to, in his waking world, pierce the dream web, and the only person who's ever been able to find that out was Carl Hall before, and so Carl is kind of pissed off about it, but also he respects the genius that it takes, And so the ship battles this artist's ego and super ego and his id, right? And it's basically a 3-pronged boss fight, for lack of a better term, using the cafeteros and a whole bunch of other various implements, but mostly it's the cafeteros and
maybe they're trying to pit them against each other too. Maybe that's how they
that them. Would be good. That would be smart if first latrine cleaner Mitchell is able to convince the ego and the superego to fight, right? And then they eventually fighting, and they tumble deeper into the dream web so far that no one would be able to get them out, right? And then the ship only has to fight the id, and the id is this monstrous, horrific creation that's just all of the artist's most, vile and depraved fucking impulses all congealed into one being that's just I want to eat you and then have sex with you and then eat you again, right? That sort of thing. And they eventually defeat him. Right, they're able to destroy the id, and everyone thinks, oh yeah, well, that's done for. We wash our hands of this, whatever. But we realize that this artist has been put into a coma by having his ego, his superego, and his id all destroyed, right? Thus becoming another engine for a French dream web machine that, maybe the crew will have to fight against later when the French make their own sleep marine. But that's besides the point. Episode 3, the idea I have, right? The ship is under attack by an enormous pregnant male seahorse. The crew is fighting the seahorse until Mitchell is able to figure out that thousands of children were all simultaneously traumatized by a mix-up in programming between a nature documentary and Saturday morning cartoons. And so all these kids were supposed to be watching fucking Tom and Jerry, but instead they watched this like gross, very nitty-gritty nature documentary about how seahorses, get men. The male seahorses are the ones that carry babies and all this stuff. And that has like caused this nightmare being to like form within the planet's collective subconscious, and they have to fight that thing. And eventually the way that they're able to defeat it is by playing a live stream and putting it across the whole world so all the kids in their dreams can see it, of the ship destroying the seahorse with torpedoes, right?
Oh.
And the crew is very happy, and they're all super, pumped and happy, and they're all hugging, and, they think it's all over. And then we end the episode with like a Curb Your Enthusiasm style twist, where now the kids are terrified of torpedoes, and so the ship just gets attacked by gigantic torpedoes that are just digging off of it, and they're like, oh god damn it, what do we do now? Right.
Mm-hmm.
End of the episode. So those are the 3 episode ideas I have, right? I know it's a little short, but
I had some additional thoughts about the the calf pedos.
Yeah.
There definitely should be some sort of weapon. I don't know about if caffeine is the right thing. It just feels like a little silly. I feel like it's got to be more subconscious, because it's right. You can't give, it's not like you're actually giving them caffeine. So like, what causes you to wake up from a dream? It's like, isn't it like the sensation of falling? It's like what's it called? Death, or what's it called? There's another big thing. I don't know. There's lots of things. Maybe, something so terrible that just makes you wake up, like a jump scare or something, right? So maybe they have to. Maybe they've got those in like torpedo form, or maybe they have to use those to wake people up as well. As like, different ways. Because I think the torpedo could work, but it would be cool to have other ways to combat this as well.
Yeah, other weapons.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think it would be interesting to like add sort of like some sort of, because you didn't, at least I don't remember. Did you mention nightmares at all as a potential threat?
Well, I mean, the seahorse monster is kind of a nightmare, but it's basically the idea is that they're just solving problems that are affecting the people of the world in the subconscious world. So that's where they're solving the problems, So if there's a massive storm, people will be scared of the storm, and then then Karen Jones will somehow be able to convince the storm to just go away, right? And that won't actually stop the storm from coming in real life, but it will,
like quell
maybe
people's
subside
fears about
some fears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I also like the idea of, just while you were talking, I thought, what if everyone's nightmares that they ever had, the monsters or whatever come from those nightmares, are just constantly present in this dreamscape.
Oh, I like that
world. Yeah. So there's all this like weird shit just like flopping around. Throughout. It's like
because I would like everything
sea monsters
to be
in like ancient map drawings. There's just all these monsters going around, and they're not always violent. They're not always attacking. Maybe you have to be afraid of them for them to attack, and there'll be a problem for one of the crew members because they're they share some of the same nightmares of these people.
Yeah. Maybe there's a giant whale sort of monster, but it's an enormous clown that just sort of floats throughout the ocean. But if the clown finds someone that's scared on the on Subcon 78, they're able to attack it and start ripping it apart, and then everyone has to get over their fear of clowns, so everyone has to dress up like clowns when they're fighting the monster, and I don't know, something like that. That would be good. Just to have, there's just these grotesque beasts that sort of roam the subconscious dream web. And, you know, as long as you don't fuck with them, they won't fuck with you, but they might fuck with you just because they can.
Oh, okay. I also thought of a possible major threat if you wanted one.
Okay.
Maybe there's like this strict rule that people that sign up for this program or whatever, they're like, one of the big things is you cannot have a sleep paralysis demon. That's like one of the big things. Like, if you have it, you can't be part of this program. And one of our crew members, I don't know who you think it should be, should either not know about it or just like hide that knowledge so that they can get in this crew.
I think it should be the captain. I think the captain should have like a sleep paralysis demon, and he's like, "No, I'm a stern captain. I'm probably played by Sean Connery. I'm not going to blah 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 blah." So
he'll have this sleep paralysis demon, and it's like I was thinking it's either like the Weeping Angels in Doctor Who, or it's like just like a slow serial killer that's like getting closer and closer. It always slowly approaches them, but if they stay in one spot for too long, it's gonna get them. It could also be like the wife in Inception, where like if he stays in one place for too long, or if he stays in the dream for too long, eventually it'll find him and he'll screw up everybody.
It'll come up.
Doesn't even hurt him that much. It hurts other people more.
Yeah, I like that. I also I had the idea that maybe all of the dreams, because it is all kind of gonna be aquatic themed, because they are in a submarine, you know?
Yeah.
And so maybe the nightmare creatures, some of the more human ones, more anthropomorphized ones, are like pirates. And that's one of the reoccurring bad guys that they have to come up against, is just like a pirate crew made up of all your worst, you know, childhood nightmares, right? So we just have like the dark and zombies, and I don't know, what were you scared of as a kid? What were you scared of? I wasn't scared of anything as a kid. I was the coolest kid.
Oh my god, there was this one villain in some like shitty Halloween movie that just had the most terrific. I think it was a vampire or something like that. So we can throw vampires in.
Yeah.
Had a horrific face though. Can't remember the name of the movie. We can throw some giant spiders in there. That'll be good.
Giant spiders, probably some principles, because it's like kids.
It's got to be stuff that weird shit that doesn't make any sense as well.
Yeah.
Just like absolute nonsensical.
A principal with a giant spider for a head and like tentacles for arms and stuff like that.
Oh, kind of like on this note, maybe there's like nonsensical dream vortexes. I mean a better name than that, but like they have to like, they're sort of like in like a nautical sense, they're like what are those things? The whirlpools? Whirlpools. That's what they are. So they're like whirlpools. They look like whirlpools in the scene, but if you get caught in one, they all get transported into like this like nonsensical dream. Like every, nothing makes sense at all, and it constantly just keeps getting cut to like the next scene where it to the audience it doesn't make any sense either, and like the characters don't know what's happening. It's like watching Memento.
I like that a lot.
It's like things just keep happening, and you don't really know why or what is happening. And at the end of the episode, we'll realize that they got caught. It's like watching Memento in reverse with the sound off. I think watching Memento in reverse would probably be more helpful, honestly. But it's like it just cuts between all these different scenes where the audience is so confused on what's happening. Like they have no idea what the plot is of this episode until the end, where it's like, oh, okay, this all kind of somehow makes sense, and then they get out of the dream vortex and it all doesn't make sense again. Like I don't. And
Melville slaps first latrine cleaner Mitchell on the back of the head, and he says, "That's what I get for letting you fucking steer, huh? You moron." Stars right.
It'll be like his first time driving or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that the crew's kind of small, but that's just the main cast of characters. There are other members of the crew. There are nameless goons and goonettes running around on the ship trying to keep everything together. I just chose those 4 because they seemed rather interesting.
Do people rotate in and out of this program? Like, can they stop sleeping and, I don't know, go home?
Well, I was thinking maybe we could have an episode where one of the 12 soldiers in the REM sleep wakes up, and that means that their Dreamweb engine is less powerful. And he's like, I volunteered for a 6-month, sabbatical, and I woke up in the middle of a goddamn submarine in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. What's even going on? And he looks over, and Carl Hall is a giant, like, fucking lizard man with, like, laser eyes because he's still in the dream. And he's like, what the fuck? So they have to, like, find this one guy who's kind of die-harding through the submarine, trying to escape our main characters. And they're like, we need him back in the fucking pod, or else we'll all die, because our engine isn't powerful enough to get us out. We'll just keep sinking down lower and lower into the planetary subconscious until we're so low that we're effectively erased from human memory. You know? And so he has to sacrifice
the lower
himself.
you get, the older the dreams are, and you can they'll get close to the bottom, and they reach, like, I don't know, like, you'll reach ancient people's dreams, and as it gets lower and lower, it gets more horrific, the monsters and stuff, and I don't know.
Man's first dream of fire.
God's dream or something. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool, but a little wanky. But also, this whole idea is a little wanky, so, that's fine. Yeah, I like that. I like this show. I like Transatlantic Sleep Marine. It's a bit less
or there's nothing at the bottom. Like because there's before the universe existed, right? So there's just absolutely it just keeps going, but there's no more dreams. It's just endless pit into the darkness.
Yeah, and they're about to descend when the soldier finally decides, fine, I'll go back in the pod, and he, like, falls asleep as soon as they're about to reach the point of no return, and then they pull up, and you're like, oh my god, yeah, they made it. But that poor boy had to sacrifice his sanity, basically.
Yeah,
to
maybe he had to, like, dip into, like, he dipped too far into the darkness. But, like, if you go past, like, when dreams existed, it's just, you just lose your mind instantly, because there's no thought down there. There's no understanding. Just like wipes his mind. There's just nothing left of him. He's just a shell of a person. He's just a shell
being used to power this fucking submarine. Because there is a little bit of just, like, fucking horror in this show, like.
On that note, what if like the captain, right? You get this guy that's a shell, right? Who's now just being used to power the submarine. But he tells all the other crew members, like, oh yeah, we're going to send him out, and he's going to, get some help or something like that. But he just takes him into the back of the submarine, and there's, like, a area where there's just tons of people back there that have been shelled.
That's horrifying. I love it. That's spooky AF. I'm a big fan of that. Because that means that, like, even our most morally upstanding character, the captain, is, like, definitely super compromised by this whole thing. But the mission is more important. The mission of maintaining people's sanity and, like, just, like, staying calm is more important than the lives of these men and women.
And maybe it's also, like, a practical thing. It's like, okay, like, we can send them up if you really want. Like, maybe if they, the other crew members find out, he's like, we can send them up if you really want to. We tried that, years ago. They're just a shell. They're just a vegetable. There's nothing there. We've tried for years to see if there's anything. This is the only way they have any purpose to them. So, I mean, is that so wrong to give them some sort of purpose as just a shell rather than...
Some sort of purpose?
I don't know, put them in a home somewhere.
And then that's a little moral quandary. A little depressing. I like it. It got dark towards the end there. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of how dark this show got. Do you have any other ideas? I'm kind of out. I'll be honest with you.
I like this show. I feel like it has endless, possibilities because dreams are, they just offer so many things with each,
so
we
many
could do each
strange
person's
and
nightmares become issues. We could have different world events causing catastrophes. I don't know. We could do some really wholesome stuff with, like, I don't know, maybe a little girl has nightmares and they go help her.
And they go and stop them.
They stop the nightmares.
That was my original
We could do really wholesome stuff. We could also do really messed up stuff where they accidentally, because are they
accidentally lobotomize
who are they like? Yeah, they. Who are they like? Who do they work for? Do they work for the government? Is that? I
always thought of them as being like a very secretive part of the like CIA, right? Okay. Like they were MK Ultra, but it just kept going. You know,
you
maybe
could
Dr. Carl Hall.
You could have them doing things like trying to change the dreams of a dictator, kind of like Inception, like where they're trying to implant an idea, and then they just fuck up, and it makes things worse in real life.
Yeah, and then the dictator becomes like the world's worst man, and also becomes like a super genius.
Yeah, they just totally
they
accidentally give him an idea to like build nuclear submarines or something, and now that's caused tremendous problems.
And then Mitchell accidentally leaves the blueprints for the Dreamweb engine in the guy's dreams by accident. He's just like, oh god damn it, now we can. Yeah.
And now there's a rogue dictator submarine somewhere, and they have to confront that. And
they gotta hunt him down and kill him.
Yeah, they gotta fight the other submarine in the dreams. And maybe that's when we first get introduced to like the bottom of the darkness, right? So they're like fighting this other submarine, but they don't really have a way to destroy them. And eventually they'll, I don't know, damage their engine in some way where it's gonna start going down, and it's gonna fall into the darkness, and some of the crew members can be like, let's chase him down. And he's like, and then the captain will be like, no, we can't go any further from here.
Yeah, this is where we stop.
There's no point in chasing them. They're already gone. They have a fate worse than death.
Madness. Unending nothingness. The void. Void fish. That's from a TV show. This show came together better than I thought it would. I thought this episode would be short because my voice is a bit fucked.
I could tell you probably don't enjoy. But you put in a heroic effort for the listeners and for me. So
of course,
they're all applauding right now. You can't hear it, but they're all clapping.
I'm imagining it.
Yeah,
the adulation is intoxicating.
It's great. Even if you're out in public,
thank you, everyone.
Just start clapping randomly.
Yeah, good. Do it. If you see me in public, just start clapping. You don't know what I look like, but just do it. You see someone.
Every time I see Charlie, I just start clapping because it's impressive.
Mm-hmm. This is that a man so handsome could exist. It is impressive. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, has been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. Remember, we will be right back here next week with a brand new televisual series for you to imagine and enjoy, with the title of Drumroll Please.
Do I get to pick a number, or?
No, I have a title for you. My Bavarian Boyfriend. That's the title.
Is this revenge? Is that what this is?
No. I mean, a little bit, yeah. But I also think I have a good idea for the show, My Bavarian Boyfriend, and I want you to come up with an idea as well.
I have no idea.
And we'll see how similar or far apart the ideas are. You've just came from Oktoberfest, my friend. I'm sure you'll find some inspiration.
This is gonna be a tough one.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and please have a good time. Enjoy your dreams.
The evil laugh with the terrible raspy throat is very interesting.